I'm Luisa Conti. I work at the Friedrich-Schiller-Universität, also University Friedrich-Schiller Jena, since 2006. Actually, I came to Germany to stay 6 months to do an internship after my studies in Italy. But this internship then was in Berlin, and Berlin was so nice, and I was like, okay, stay a couple of months more. And then I got another internship, and it became a job, and then I was like, no, I want to go to France, and I want to go to Spain, I want to go to Portugal. But then I got this job in the University of Jena on intercultural communication, and I love that so much. I love that I had the possibility, as a person who was 24, to just teach, to research and teach. In Italy, for example, it's not possible that as a PhD student can really also teach as their own autonomous space for teaching. And that is great because you can really pass what you're researching on to the others, to the students. And so that was already a great possibility that made me stay here. And so I've done my research on intercultural dialogue, trying to understand what is intercultural dialogue actually, and how can you use the website for fostering intercultural dialogue. And then I continued here for my habilitation, and it's about inclusion. So how can we create a word which is really which is a good place for every one of us. So how can we change the Bildung, also education, for example, in a way that is wonderful. It's a wonderful experience for all of us. So that is what I'm interested in. Yes, I had stereotypes, and I had other stereotypes or I had also prejudice, and people have prejudice. I know everyone has prejudice. It's like this because we receive them, we absorb them from in the environment, from the books, from the movies we are watching, from the things that we hear, that we experience. So that is normal to have them. Important is to be conscious that it's just a stereotype, that it's just a prejudice. If I think, for example, that Germans are serious, then I'm, no, that's a typical stereotype, then I am also serious and ready to be serious. And then the other person is really serious because I'm serious, So we have to watch out because we create reality with what we have in mind. And so that when it comes in your head, then you can ask, wait, am I using the right code to understand the situation? Yeah? Because also if I have a prejudice, it's not a problem just because maybe I don't understand the situation in the right way, but also because I approach the other person in the wrong way.
Ja, es gibt die Klischee und Stereotypen, aber das ist sehr eng mit der Kultur verbunden. Dann kann ich nur, das heißt, die diplomatische Antworten sagen, dass ja, das gehört zu Deutschland, das ist Deutsch zum Beispiel. Zum Beispiel die Deutschen, sie sagen direkt, das fanden viele sehr unangenehm und dann für Vietnamesen, wir müssen nicht, das heißt mit den Leuten direkt, sondern auch die Kommunikation wird angenehmer, wenn man mit anderen Sachen zuerst sagen, bevor man richtige Dinge zu reden, zum Beispiel.
Also ich weiß nicht, ob es nur meine Sicht ist, aber ich habe immer halt das Gefühl, dass das Verhalten von den Deutschen von den Wetterstationen abhängt. Das finde ich typisch deutsch. Also ich habe es nicht in irgendwo anderes Länder gesehen, aber dann habe ich so immer halt das Gefühl, wenn es Winter kommt, dann sind Leute ein bisschen so mehr kalt oder so.
And then also I knew that Germans drank beer a lot, but I didn't know that it was this much. So sometimes we have parties and then the Germans come around, some of our friends also come around and we all have like one bottles and Germans just keep drinking without stopping. I'm like, wow, this is great.
Ja, also ich hatte ja Vorurteile, also dass Deutsche kalt sind oder viele Deutsche kalt sind und nicht so, dass sie ein bisschen am Anfang so eine ganze Distanz haben.
Yeah, prejudices can just be wrong because it's a judgment before you do something, a prejudge prejudice, no, a prejudgment. And reality is always so complex. Every person is different, the context is different, the relationship is different. It's different if you are there or someone else. So you cannot really have a judgment before. And then also judgment is itself something very sad, because why should you judge how people do things? Why don't you understand why they do it? No? There are things which are actually different in different places and different contexts, and it's much more interesting to ask, okay, why is it like this, instead of judging it. Yeah, not to be judgmental, but to be open and curious, and try to understand why people are doing that. And am I really understanding right? You know, because sometimes we just think that this person doesn't understand anything, or the Germans, above all in conflict situation, then we think very much in categories. And that is easy, no? That can be the men, or the Germans, or the teachers. No? We have these categories, and then it's everything easy, but actually doesn't help.
Also bei meinem ersten Treffen mit dem Deutschen, das war an einem Sonntag und die waren alle wirklich offen. Also ich wurde eingeladen, sowas, da war ich auch positiv überrascht, weil es war für mich, sagen wir mal so, überraschend, dass die Studenten einfach mich eingeladen haben und gesagt haben, es gibt den Event, dass ich da eingeladen bin und sowas.
Ich finde Leute total nett. Eine meiner besten Freundinnen ist doch Deutscher. Wir diskutieren über alles, wir respektieren einander. Man merkt doch, wenn man was anders macht, in der Bus oder in einem Restaurant, dann wird kleine Stimme gehört oder sowas. Aber ja, wir sind andere Leute, wir haben andere Kultur, wir verhalten uns auch ganz anders. Aber anders bedeutet nichts Schlimmes oder Besseres. Anders ist anders.
Man muss akzeptieren, reflektieren und viele Sachen, die man noch nicht versteht, aber muss man diese Werte oder die Einstellung verstehen. Nicht verstehen, sondern kennenlernen. Ja.